I agree. I want to make one last point real quick. As we were, like, shouting and leaving, the media left Gore and followed us outside. So, like, all the media, like, when we were outside, we were actually like, we didn't put this in the video, but we're actually, like, giving a speech to all the media. There's, like, cameras, and all the people, the programmed Gorians who are walking out of that bookstore were sitting there listening to us and asking us, wow, we didn't know this. Where can I get more information on where is climbing and what is it? So we're sitting there explaining to, like, over 50 people how everything, and including...
Well, you need to post that video now as part 2 so millions can see it. But what's happening is, again, they're having to not come out and have their events because they know it's a catalyst for the truth tellers to go out and counter their lies. They're hoping we just dissipate and go away. But ClimateGate isn't going away. 2 weeks ago when this came out, we got the equivalent of the Death Star plans. In the last couple days, the Death Star blew up. But the empire is still there. But literally, ladies and gentlemen, with the audit the Fed bill going forward, talk of blocking the reconfirmation of Bernanke, with ClimateGate in trouble, with all these professors getting in trouble, the cap and trade bill failing that was going to pass in Australia, the Death Star blew up. I mean, we just blew up one of their biggest operations. It is in tatters. They're still going to operate covertly, locally. I want to bring you guys up with Luke Rudkowski and others straight ahead. All right, we're back live, ladies and gentlemen. This is, ladies and gentlemen, Bottom Line. This is Bottom Line, ladies and gentlemen, the equivalent of the Death Star. This is their grid, their world government, to train everybody to have our resources cut off, to kill the third world and turn us into an absolute third world slum ourselves. This is the plan to use economic tyranny to make us be so poor we can't stand up against them. Governments have always used poverty as a tool of control. Now, going back to my guest, because we've got We Are Change founder Luke Rudkowski on the line. I meant to get Luke on, and somehow that fell through the cracks. I'm glad we were able to get a hold of him. Luke, and I want to get Anthony on from Ohio, who was involved with Chicago, who may have discovered the location of the snake's next event, Herr Gore. But expanding on this, Luke, what is it like to see just the people rising and taking over the media attention and literally running Al Gore to ground?
I mean, it's incredible seeing the true authority and power we all have in ourselves. And it's us realizing that power that is really going to take back this country and take back our lives. Our lives has meanings. We are something in this world, and we're going to make something happen. And I just published an article on Russia Today just talking about this. The new dawn of a new age of muckraking is upon us, and we are taking advantage. We are taking the airways away from these corporations, and we are speaking truth to power to everybody. And the more we keep doing this, the more everybody's going to see the real truth behind everything. Global warming, 9/11, Khalik Sheikh Mohammed. We are doing the job of the mainstream media, and people are seeing that, and we are going to be successful.
I tell you, didn't Chicago do a splendid precision job the way they worked Gore over?
I love Chicago. Shouts out to also Colorado, who confronted Al Gore, ripped up his book in the book signing. But also here in New York City, I have to shout out Danny Penzella, Matt Lepasic, and Heather Lamastro here in New York. They confronted Al Gore, too. I'm going to be working on that video today. And just like, Matt Lepasic just came up to him and said, aren't the ice glaciers melting on other planets as well? They literally grabbed him, threw him away, and then the same thing that Chicago did, screamed. I mean, the technique that we have is impenetrable. What we're doing, what Chicago and Colorado and all these wonderful, beautiful people are doing, it cannot be stopped. We are doing this non-violently, peacefully, taking over the airways, and it's beautiful and it's amazing. And I'm so proud of seeing so many other people just standing up for themselves and doing the right thing.
Do you agree with my analogy that 2 weeks ago we got the Death Star plans, and the last 2 or 3 days the Death Star blew up? I mean, literally, their man-made global warming fraud is imploding in flames right now.
Yes, we have the information. We have the knowledge, but that knowledge is nothing unless we use it. That knowledge is power and authority. We now have to use that power and authority to tell the people what's really happening, to save this country from the cap and trade bill, from the Copenhagen Treaty. We have to understand we have to act and activate right now. Information and knowledge is nothing unless we act on it.
Absolutely. Now is the time. I had Lord Monckton on last week. He'll be reporting for us next week from Copenhagen. And I said, we're 2 minutes to midnight. He said, no, we're 2 seconds to midnight. But again, it's the Deus Ex. Right at that moment, all these good people we don't even know about are coming out of the woodwork to aid us. And that's how it works. You take the step of faith, you stand up for truth, and you're not going to have victory overnight, but then empires just collapse in front of you. And I am seeing the New World Order, right as it announces itself, being blown into pieces. And it doesn't mean just because we've blown up the Death Star, ladies and gentlemen, the fight continues. The empire is still in control. But this is a major coup against them, a major morale booster. And if we continue to get ClimateGate out that has tentacles into all the other eugenics frauds, point out what monsters these are, we can defeat them.
I mean, it's in our hands. I mean, we can defeat them. We can win as long as we want to win. And we could realize we could win just by all standing up. And you don't have to be a part of We Are Change or any other even group out there. Be an individual. I'm not no leader. People always come up to me and say I'm the organizer. I'm just one human being. I can inspire people. But it's really up to an individual to be their own leaders and to stand up in their cities and towns. And that's how we're going to be successful. And we slowly are becoming successful because people like Saad are coming up in Chicago. People like Anthony are coming up in Ohio. You know, people like Jonathan in Colorado are coming up. People like Matt here in New York City are coming up, and they're doing the job of the mainstream media, and they're standing up for themselves, for their lives, for humanity. And it's us standing up that's going to just deny this Copenhagen Treaty, this ClimateGate.
Yeah, we're standing up saying, you're crooks, you're frauds, we have your own documents, you're a criminal, I'm not your slave. You got it? Because if we lay down, that gives them implied consent to rape us, and the raping is over. The sleeping giant that is free humanity worldwide is rising.